Ability, they have a problem in focus. Like it goes into a lot of lanes, because I really don't want to talk too much about it because that's not my special subject. But roughly, for what you're saying is that what happens is the child have a problem in focusing, and they misinterpret the words and the sentences. Like, for example, you have a sentence saying with numbers and with letters, right? So there is a part of a brain where this child will get confused with the numbers and the letters and will not be able to focus on the sentence.
Oh, I see. Okay. So it's not an inability to read or write, it's the inability to focus.
Focus, and where the brain is sending wrong signals.
Oh, okay.
So how you identify the numbers and the letters. So these can be sorted out with treatment, and these children, this is not a real problem. They do read, they do write, it's just that they need more focus.
Alright, so now that we have covered the slow learners and we have given the parents out there some very useful tips and tricks about how they can help their child to really go further in their academics as well as in their usual classroom behavior, let's talk about the final aspect that we'll be speaking about today, which is children who are disruptive in class. Now, how can you deal with the behavior of a child who is disruptive to the entire classroom?
Take a deep breath and calm down.
Alright.
Because
so patience is number one, is it?
More than patience, you really need to calm down. Because disruptive behavior can be many forms. It can be just a child always chattering, or a child always whining, a child always complaining about things, or it can be a child who has violent behavior. Right? It can be so many things, disruptive behavior. So what happens is, you're a teacher and you have this really well planned lesson, and you come to class and then you see a child trying to throw a chair at another child, right? And what happens is the entire focus is on this kid who is out of control. So number one is, when you are handling disruptive kids, is you need to go to the child and say, look, this is not where you should be. You should be here. You know, you need to put him like, this is what you should be doing, not throwing chairs, right? And as a teacher, you need to get them involved very much into your lesson plan. Like, say for example, if you're relating a story and you know this child is really not focusing on you, you need to tell him, okay, can you come and read half a story with me, right? So you're refocusing the child, and then the child is not able to think about methods of being disruptive in the class,
because they are too busy focusing on the story or the lesson plan as
and being the center of attention in a good way, not in a bad way.
So do you find that children do this just to become the center of attention, and it's something that they do as a child to sort of turn the focus from everything around them to themselves? Is that why children are disruptive in classrooms?
Not necessarily, but it's just that it's like, you need to understand, children cannot handle their emotionality very well. Like, so it takes practice to handle the emotionality.
Some adults that I know can't handle the emotionality very well, so I guess children can be excused.
Yes. So this is a training. You need to tell them, look, you can do things, right? You cannot have needy behavior, because it's a challenge. It's a challenge to the parents, it's a challenge to your teacher, it's even a challenge to your friends when you become too needy, right? So what you need to tell the child is, you can do so many things, but there is a unwritten line, or there's a limit. So disruptive is not necessarily that they want attention, it's just the way maybe at that moment, at that situation, this is how they want to behave.
And they need to be taught that they can't do it on a whim like that.
That is inappropriate behavior. That is not acceptable in a classroom.
Alright, so we'll be speaking more about different behaviors that you see in your child and how you can really correct them and put them onto the right path in a way that doesn't harm the child at the end of the day and is the best for them. So we'll be speaking more to Arundhati right after the break. So do stay with us here on Good Morning Sri Lanka. welcome back to the show. I'm here with Arundhati Sivagurunathan, a child psychologist, and she has been speaking to us so far about the different behaviors that you will see in your child. And if you are concerned about some of the behaviors that you do see in your own children, you can contact us, because Arundhati will be on the show in the coming weeks as well, and she will be addressing any issues that you put forward. So do contact us on mtvsports@maharaja.lk, send us an email, or contact us through Facebook. That's www.facebook.com/Good Morning Sri Lanka. Send us a message and we will be sure to answer any and all queries that you have concerning child behavior. Alright, Arundhati, so we were speaking about children who are disruptive in the classroom and really make it hard for the other children as well as the teacher to carry out a good lesson plan and things like that. But now many times children have to work together in teams, even if it's PT or different sports activities, the sports meet, relay events, group events, all of these things come across in our lives. But what do you do about a child who does not want to work in a team at all and is actually quite disruptive when it comes to things like teamwork?
You need to put the child into a group always, because teamwork is very important.
Yes.
But if there is this child who is always very disruptive, or if he's like having violent behavior with his or her friends, we really need to sit the child down and ask why he is behaving like that, right? So it comes to a point that maybe the teacher will tell, okay, don't do this, he'll come back, or the teacher will ignore the behavior. That this child is, I'm ignoring you because you're behaving like that. Then the teacher and the child might argue. Then so what happens is, it doesn't solve the problem. It doesn't solve the problem. What happens is, when children have inappropriate behavior, this is all inappropriate behavior, right? This is not acceptable at all. So the teachers and the parents need to work together, where if the child is behaving inadequately or inappropriately. But what you need to understand is, once you identify the exact cause of the problem, there can be so many causes. It can be environment, it can be the child's emotional imbalance, it can be the fact the child doesn't like where he is, so many things, right, which come to play. But what you need to understand is, you need to figure out, analyze the problem, and you need to stick into a routine. Like, you cannot change the method. Like, I can't use one method on you today and I can't use another method on you tomorrow. I need to practice the same method. Then what happens is, the child also knows, okay, this is the way it's going to be. Nothing is going to change. And the most important thing is, the teacher can sort out the child in school, right, with your support. But when you are handling inappropriate behavior or child behavioral problems, you and your spouse have to be on the same page, right?
I see.
You can't discipline your child in one way and your spouse is going to do it another way. So that is very important. Consistency is very important when you are trying to put a child into a routine.
And that's how a child will learn that if I do this, this will be the consequences, and it has to be consistent all the time.
All the time.
Okay. But now you spoke about environmental factors that can affect a child's behavior, especially when you talk about disruptive and violent behavior. There's an opinion that things like video games and the content that they see on the television, which is different movies and TV shows that they are exposed to, can shape a child's behavior as well. And does that make them more violent in the aspect if they watch more violent content in their homes? It
might have a part to play. I won't say no, because for children, what they see works visually, right? So if they see a cartoon character acting violently, I mean, cartoon characters is something a child always embraces with love, right? It's something like, you love your cartoon character, and this character you love is doing something violently, and they think it's all right for you to do the same thing. So I think what happens is, we need to analyze what they are watching and try to stop giving too many negative thoughts into their mind, and try to keep it positive and less violent as possible.
All right, of course. But then on the other hand, what is your opinion about parents using corporal punishment, or little slap here and there to discipline their children? Is that going to harm the child? Or because the culture of Sri Lanka is such that there has been a part, especially in our past, grandparents always correct their children in different ways than they do nowadays. But so what do you think about corporal punishment when it comes to a child?
Different punishment methods, but I don't think there's ever a child who has been grown up without a smack.
Yes.
There is always a possibility, because children have a way of pushing their parents into such limit, that's the only way they react. But I'm not saying a smack is right or wrong, but again I come to the point of it's how you're disciplining your child. Right? The methods you are using, say if you keep on smacking your child for everything, the child is not going to take notice of that.
That's true, I guess. Yes.
Yeah, it's like you keep on yelling at your child all the time. The child is like, oh, this is the way my mother talks. She's always yelling. So you need to focus on what the role you're trying to do. Say parenting is a 24/7, 365 days a year's job. So when you're taking up that responsibility, I feel you need to figure out, you need to have a structure of how it's going to be, a routine for yourself more than the child.
I see.
Right? So you tell the child, okay, you act like this, this is your punishment. You act like that, this is your punishment, right? It never changes. It just cannot change. It has to be consistent, because when things are consistent, the child knows, okay, this is the consequence. He doesn't even have to guess. But when you don't have consistency with your child, the child thinks, okay, today I can slip off the whole punishment. Tomorrow, if my mother is in a better mood, she'll forgive me. Right? So it's up to you. I won't say it's bad or not. It depends on, because
The
you
situation,
need to,
I guess.
no, it's not situation. See, you're the parent, right? And you will always bring up the child the way you think is right. Right? And culture does play a major role, but it's how you think about it all in a nutshell. And if you think at one point your child should be smacked, no one can tell you can't.
Well said, Arundhati. All right. But there are these things like reward systems. Right? You say you eat all your vegetables during lunch, you get a chocolate after lunch. So does that work with children as well, rewarding them for good behavior as opposed to